July 22nd, 3:20. Got about 40 minutes to the close. Not going to talk about too much here. Nothing exciting. A chop Monday. Some swings up and down on the SPY at the open. 555, 54, then down to 551s, then back up to 554s. And we're right near highs right now. Let's see, we're at 554.61. So a little chop after last week's profit taking, I guess you would say. So key areas I was looking at 551 on the SPY, 554. So I think we can hold that today and tomorrow. I think that'll bode well into the earnings, big earnings tomorrow. Tesla, Google kind of kick off the Magnificent Seven. And then there's some other names later in the week. I'll talk about that in a second. So pretty good sign here. Still holding my hedge TZA calls. Still have some the nugget puts, which aren't. I already locked some of them in for nice profits cover costs. And the GLD puts. GLD is still slightly red. So those will kind of be my hedges this week, depending on how things all trade out. So also take a look at this chop, and I just put up. I think there's a 3-minute chart I have up here. And you can see between the open all the way up to 550, 450, then down to 550, 150, then back up to 550, 450, then back down to 550, 150, and then the last melt up into the afternoon, and then we've kind of been just chopping around here. And that all that does is kill premiums on some of these names. So I'm already in some of the names I like with Square, Baidu, U, Turn. So I'm just holding those for now. I'm not adding anything more. And then once the dust kind of settles, maybe tomorrow I'll look to add some more strikes in some of those names and some other names that I'm eyeing. Also, a good sign here. The small caps. It almost I always I have a bias to see bull flags, right? Whenever I see a move up in a stock or an index, and then you see some consolidation, my initial reaction is say, "Oh, that's a bull flag on the IWM." It's possible. I mean, you look 225 or so down from 202.50, so you're talking a 22-point move. Divide that by half, another $11 on the upside is coming. It's certainly possible. So something to be aware of. Excuse me. So those are small caps. The VIX is down almost 10% here. Is that right? Let me just, I didn't pull up the most recent. Yeah, 9.9%, 1488. So back under that 15 spot. So that's a good sign as well. And then we'll have to see how earnings play out. PC data at the end of the week certainly could be some catalyst here. So names, and I just put CGC up there. That was a name I was watching back in the spring. It's paid out very nicely a couple times on the call side. I might look to get some. I was thinking August 10s possibly. My July strikes, I just had some expire. I think I had the 15s, but that was on the last big pop when there was that regulation. I guess the was it the reclassification? I forget the exact news it was. But here, they're saying it's just the sentiment changing. The legislation's coming. I mean, some of the ballots in November are going to include marijuana again. I think Florida is the big one. So, I mean, it's almost like the arguments back a couple years ago with legalized gambling, right? DraftKings was still new. You had all the casinos win, everybody trying to get a piece of the pie and trying to push things through. And then finally, state by state, they started to allow DraftKings and FanDuel to take bets. And it's almost a similar kind of situation here where 5 to 10 years from now, it's going to be almost commonplace I mean, it's pretty remarkable over the last 5 years or so just to see the advent of the gaming and fantasy sports and all that fun stuff, how it's broadcast on live television, right next to a game and things like that. And I think the similar things gonna be with the marijuana side of it. So anyway, so don't be surprised if you see me add some of those calls. Inexpensive. So this is a name that can go back up to $15 plus. I thought 17, 18 was a nice target. If it gets some momentum, CGC's back over its 50-day moving average. Hasn't done that since the end of May. So kind of some of the things I'm looking at there. Let's see, we have that there. Watching Align Technology, I talked about it as a possible earnings premium build play. They report earnings after close Wednesday. Implied move, I think it's $30, 12.3%. So that's a pretty large move. And then you start looking at some of the strikes that might work on a risk reward basis. And I have to go all the way up into the 330, 340 weeklies just to find a strike that looks somewhat decent for at least for how I trade. So, I mean, maybe the 335s or 10 by 85. Let's see here. Oh, maybe I was looking at the wrong strikes. Oh, the 320s look interesting. And some of the premiums have already come out of the calls on the weekly strikes. The 320 calls are already down 30%. 315s are down 40%. So it might be Might be a nice little ad here. I'll probably wait and see. I mean, it is off over 1% today, so I don't know if continuation. I think there was a price target change this morning. It's funny. I never get it how analysts come out 2 days before earnings and adjust their price target or rating. It's like you're going to get brand new, fresh, non-disclosed information from the company, and you're going to go and get ahead of that 2 days before that and change your price target on the stock. Like, how does that make sense? And the only way it makes sense is if that analyst says, "Oh, every 3 months I reevaluate Align Technologies rating and price target," but then you should probably do it every 3 months after earnings, not 2 days before earnings. Yeah, UBS adjusted their price target down to 260 from 340 and kept a neutral rating. So 2 days before earnings. How does that just does it just mind-boggling to me? It just drives me nuts. That's Align Technologies. Oh, speaking of mind-boggling, someone replied to my post on FinTwit. Over the weekend, I posted those implied moves for earnings and VKTX reports after the close Wednesday as well. And someone asked, "What do you think about VKTX? Its recent pullback from the 80s, you know, blah blah blah." And so I've said, and pretty much VKTX kind of drives you nuts, similar to an analyst adjusting a price target 2 days before earnings, because to me, and I look, it's got the best in class in regards to adverse effect. All these, I can make a bull case on it and say it should trade well into the triple dip. Well, 120, 140, somewhere in there, right? So I said, yeah, the stock drives me nuts. And some guy says, or some person, guy, gal, I don't know, says, yeah, it's been driving everybody nuts since it's $99. Went up to 99. Have patience. This happens. Something like almost like saying, yeah, if you were in when it went up to 99, you're gonna be frustrated. But I traded if you weren't around. I used to trade VKTX back when it was in the single digits for quite some time. And some of it was because I was how VKTX came to my attention was Intercept Pharmaceuticals, which got acquired. They were into NASH, and VKTX has a NASH solution, which fatty liver, which eventually could lead to cirrhosis. Was supposed to be the next, like Star Trek, the next realm, the next unknown, right? The last addressable market. But Madrigal MDGL came out finally, the first FDA approved solution treatment that they already have for sale. So VKTX used to frustrate the heck out of me because I would look at VKTX in the single digits, huge short interest, had a lot of different possible catalysts, and then there was Intercept trading at crazier valuations. But so anyway, just kind of comical that yeah, stocks drive you nuts. VKTX drove me nuts at $8 and it drives me nuts at 50, 60, $70. But they report after the close Wednesday. I'm still on the fence about adding something. I'll get some kind of speculative call. I'm sure it's going to be a very positive update, and who knows, they could come out with some kind of surprise. So I'll probably add some spec calls, but I'll probably wait till tomorrow. That's that. Yeah, iRobot's moving today. Some of the small cap names just seem to be uh, just going off. Jemiah, right? Is that how you spell it? JMIA? The Amazon of Africa, right? Is that what that's called? Or the Shopify? I don't know. I've never really dug deep into it. Citron Research used to be a big bull on Jemiah, and always used to be like Amazon's gonna buy them out. They have all this stuff going for them, and the stock goes down to $1, whatever. But then I was just looking at the chart because if you look, it has an insane amount of options traded today, and I'm talking about ticker JMIA. Uh, I don't have the chart up here right now, but actually I could put it up. But you take a look, and it's it hit lows back in May, was $4. I think it was $3 in April. And then it went on a run at the start of July. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 days in a row to the upside, then two red, and then two more green to the upside, including today. Just a monster move. And on one side, I look and I say, wow, this might be worth a lotto. There was 45,000 calls traded, and there was a strike. I don't know if it was a spread because there's 12,000 on one and 7,000 on the August 2nd. Let's see here. I came in. Yes, so the weekly strikes, July 26 weekly strikes have like 10 grand at least in calls traded today. But there's 53,000 calls traded, 16,000 puts. It's one of those that I'll get in today and then it gaps down tomorrow. And the only reason I would get into it is because of the action today. It almost looks like it wants to keep going. But yeah, so Jemiah's going iRobot finally. Let's see if it can hold here. Very disappointing last week, and then all the way down to $10 this morning. Let's see if I can put that one up. But it's going to need to get near $12, and then I think it's off the race $15. If you know I'm not going to go on a rant on iRobot. My last chart here, and I posted up here, and I try not to talk about because I know there's a couple reasons. It's like a very divisive name, and anytime I talk about it or post, it brings me unneeded a bashing or a personal attacks, emails, you name it. I get it when I talk about this on FinTwit, on YouTube, or wherever. So I don't really want to talk it. I still have some August puts. I don't be surprised if I just add just a couple more. Supposedly they have a tour of their new plant in Malaysia. That's great. I mean, you can tour things, doesn't mean you're making stuff, right? Um, and then you take a look to this morning, the stock was upgraded or not upgraded, initiated with a buy. Was it a buy or an outperform rating at benchmark with a $25 price target? Uh, and this is all great. Like, I'm very familiar with biotech, so maybe I'm not as familiar with some of these with a battery maker. I'm learning new things when I do due diligence, but I look at all the competitors in that space, and even if they have the best battery and get into every phone, every Internet of Thing, all those different devices, I and it if even if you give it a premium valuation right now for the number one battery manufacturers, one times revenues. So even if they produce 200 million batteries at $10, right? So it's what is that? Let's say 300 million batteries at $10. That's $3 billion in revenues. Supposedly, they think they're going to make 50% margins, but the average is about $2. So maybe to make 20% margins. So you're talking $150 million in profits. And so they would one times revenues. Right now, it's a $2.7 billion. So that's they haven't even made battery. I don't even know where their batteries are in any device at this current moment in any product. The Army tested their battery packs, supposedly. They have a contract, which they're not going to talk about anymore because it looks like Imperius won that contract. But um, anyway, so rants for other days. I want to go on a rant on, but I would just look for some speculative puts. I don't I always say this about the pharma companies and biotechs. I love names that change the world, right? For the better, improve people's lives. That's great stuff. Having a battery that takes up the same amount of space or less and outperforms the current batteries is good for mankind and womankind, right? It's good for the environment. It's good for everything. So I hope that they do have a better battery. It gets into every single device out there and improves the world, improves people's lives, and all that stuff. I just don't think so, right? If your battery was that good, you would have thousands of patents. People would be knocking at your door trying to buy you out. Instead, your company releases press releases that are vague in nature. There's no 8K filings with any agreement that they have posted or press released. The only official documents that they put out are insider sales because there's restricted stock that the insiders have that they're paying their tax by selling stock, which is an insider sale, but they won't say it's an insider sale. And the only other document is their 10K and 10Q filings. So they're going to report earnings at the end of the month. And here they go again. They're going to actually have to file an official document with the SEC. So, hey, maybe I'm wrong. I've asked the CEO questions. I've asked other folks questions. They used to put in their filings that, and their company they used to call their product a 3D silicone patented battery. They don't say it anymore. They don't say 3D silicone patented battery. So it's just all these things just don't jive. Something's just not right. But hopefully I'm wrong. But don't be surprised if I add more puts. I think that's about it. Yeah, CGC. I don't know if you're on the audio there, Tim's. I'm probably going to grab some before the end of the day. That's it, folks. 27 minutes to close. Hopefully, a little more action tomorrow. I was hoping Square would really do well, considering last week it looked like it was ready to go to 75, and then just it got that upgrade and then squashed Thursday and Friday. Friday, I was actually flat. So I'm just surprised Square hasn't taken off. And then same with you. You looked like it was going to break out end of week, $18. And today it's not performing with the market. I would think Square would be up if we're rallying over 1% on the S&P, nearly 2% on small caps. I would think that Square will be up 2-3%, and you would be up just as much, if not more, and they're not. So that kind of has me a little concerned, But hey, tomorrow's another day, so hopefully it's just a little more consolidation before the next leg. Let's have a great day, folks. I'll be back. Rock and roll.